Hello, hello. Welcome to the Peace of Wellness podcast. My name is Kirsten Larsen. I am your host, and this is a podcast where I bring two different men from different backgrounds with different perspectives to come together and talk about a certain topic. They are always strangers, believe it or not, even though these two have had a little bit more of a conversation than I've had with the two of them in the parking lot before this podcast. So I am excited to welcome AJ.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, and Derek.
Hey, what's up?
And I am going to start it off by asking you gentlemen to share what you do here in Vegas and what your superpower is. So what makes you special and unique?
Okay, shall I go first?
Sure, yeah.
So I do a couple things here in Vegas. I have a family-run business where we created a consumer product, did some project management for that, and now I'm working on a tech startup. Mm-hmm. So those are the two things I got occupying my time right now. And the second question, superpower, right?
Yeah.
Superpower. I think, something that makes me a little different than your average person is probably, I think I have a higher level of grit than your normal person and a little bit more discipline.
That's good.
Yeah.
Your average person.
I can say too, I actually met AJ. He was one of the very first people I met when I moved to Las Vegas, and we were both in real estate class, which neither of us are doing currently.
Yeah, nope.
It did not last long. But I actually just went more for knowledge sake. I wasn't ever planning to do what I ended up doing with real estate. And I can say the last like five and a half years that I've known AJ, he has done a number of things and he is perseverant. We always talk about really our perseverance because here we are still living the entrepreneur struggle.
Yep. Trying to dig something out of the ground, make it work. Right?
Exactly. Trying to find a diamond in the rough. And so, yes, I can attest to that for sure. And Derek, please share.
Yeah, Derek Jumphy. In terms of kind of what I do here, I'm an innovation strategist for one of the casino hospitality brands here in Vegas. And what that means is I'm the guy that introduces new tech, AI, ML, XR tech, and robotics, bring it into the business and help us help us understand how it applies within our industry. Outside of that, I have I'm building an AI engagement platform called Chale Cards.
Oh, wow.
And I also rent out Teslas to rideshare drivers.
Oh.
I kind of, and my superpower, that's kind of what I do. My superpower, I would say if you asked me this question about a month ago, I'd have a different answer. But I would say right now, what makes me super unique is I think I found a very interesting way of just really learning how to process my emotions really well. Like really just accepting that, hey, I feel sad. I feel sad today. This is why I feel sad, and it's a feeling. It's an emotion. Dude, just go take a nap, eat some ice cream, and let it go. Wake up tomorrow, and it's another day. Yeah. Right. And so I think
you don't necessarily let it consume you or be a negative thing that you're feeling these certain ways.
Yeah. We live in a time where you have a bad day, and you think you're having a bad life, or you have a bad moment, and you think like everything. And I think I've gotten to a season where it's like. This is a bad sentence. Next sentence. This is a bad page. Next page. This is a bad chapter. Next chapter. This is a bad book. Next book. Right. And just learn how to do that really well.
Everything is a season.
It's just a season.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and what I do besides the podcast is actually coaching, and so a lot of what I do in my coaching is helping people understand their patterns of thought. And how every feeling we have and every action we take starts with a thought. So if we want to feel differently, if we want to behave differently, we have to tackle those thoughts and understand the self-talk that's behind them. Yeah. So that's a lot of what I do. So I love to hear that you're thinking about it more too.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I actually have not met Derek before this. So I shared how I knew AJ, and I met Derek through another person. It was kind of a friend of a friend of a friend. But I'm glad you're here. So thank you for taking the time, both of you. And today's topic is actually discipline, which is really interesting to me because I think that everything is on a spectrum. So we have our people who are super disciplined.
Yeah.
And I would actually say overboard. I'd like to hear what you guys think as far as can there be too disciplined? But we have it on a spectrum. So we have super, super disciplined. We have super, quote unquote, undisciplined. And then all of the folks in the middle. So first, I'd love to hear how you all define or see discipline in your own personal life. I'd like to start with that. So go ahead, Derek, if you, yeah.
Okay, I'll go. To go first, I think for me, discipline is, I see discipline as self-control, right? If I was to define discipline, I define discipline as kind of self-control, just doing things when you don't want to do them.
Correct.
And I think for me, in my own life, a lot of my quote unquote discipline has stemmed out of just routine and just being a person that appreciates systems and trying to avoid decision fatigue, right? I like to see things done a certain way at a certain time just so I can continue to improve it versus I don't do things haphazard. I don't like to see things haphazard. It throws me off, and then it makes me anxious, and I don't feel like I show up as my best self. So for me, discipline is just it's just self-control and just being able to show up and do things when I don't want to.
Yeah.
And in my life, it's almost that if I want to continue to see progress in my life, I kind of have to do the things this way. It's probably also because of my ADHD.
So I was going to say you're a big systems and processes person, and you really kind of turn those into habits. And
you have to.
So then for you, I'm just curious, what happens when something, makes you fall out of, is it hard for you if something impacts your routine or pushes you out of what you're kind of used to as far as like structure?
It's is it difficult? No, and I think it goes back to what I say I'm recognizing as a superpower in this season. It's like, no, dude, you just things were going really well, but this happened because you didn't get enough sleep last night. This happened because you ate, you didn't eat well last night, or you didn't like what you said this time. So it's being able to recognize that, okay, this doesn't mean that the whole system is bad.
Yeah.
It just means that this component, you probably just need more rest.
Sure.
Right. Like I had I go to the gym a lot. I enjoy working out. I have I can't show up and lift the same weight every day. That's not how working out looks like.
I'm familiar with that.
You'd
yes.
bench 225 today for 7. You'd go back the next day and you can't even get it up. And it's like, oh, I probably just didn't sleep well last night. Let me get some rest and get back to it.
I blame it on hormones as a woman. I'm like, every month, supposedly we have this luteal phase. We have all these different phases. I don't even know what they all are, but they do impact my ability to lift and, do what I should do or am capable of at the gym. It really does. Yeah. So I know it's not quite the same for you, but sleep is a big factor, what I'm eating, and just generally how stressed I am and what's going on, in my personal life. So
and I think, and that. I mean, to your point, and when you recognize that when things happen and they throw you off, it's like, it's not the end of the world. You're still a disciplined person, and like the world's not ending.
Right. I know that's an important thing to remember, because again, there's too disciplined in my viewpoint. But how about you, AJ? How do you define it?
That's actually interesting. I agree with a lot of the things you just said. And I think what was interesting is self-control was a good way to describe it. I was probably going to use accountability as a way, as
that's
like
good.
A crucial part in discipline. Because at the end of the day, discipline is different. Like when you have someone relying on you to do something, right? And that's the reason why you get it done, versus like you're the only person you can let down is yourself. Like for the gym, right? That's discipline of going to the gym it's gonna affect no one if you don't go to the gym, right?
So good.
Except for yourself, right? So how do you hold yourself accountable, right? That's true discipline right there.
Yeah.
And another thing you said was structure, right? And that's crucial in playing a part in discipline, because for me, it's not every day you want to wake up and go to the gym. Some days you're just tired.
For sure.
But if you have that structure of every weekday, for me, every weekday going to the gym at 9:00, the days I don't want to go, it's a part of my routine to go at 9:00, right? So I get in my car and I go, and I'm already there. So I have no choice but to just do it, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't go to the gym, that window is like, it
empty.
feels weird,
It's
right? Like,
so
what
good.
am I supposed to do with this time, right? So that structure is crucial, because it kind of forces you to have that discipline.
Well, and I think both of these bring up the solid point that we're all, because I would say, we would all see ourselves as fairly disciplined, right? We're all literally setting ourselves up for success. Like, we have crafted our lives and we have chosen habits and routines to set us up for this, right? It actually isn't haphazard that I just end up at the gym 4 to 5 days a week. Like, it's because I've set my life up to be that way. And I'm not quite so structured. My schedule is really all over the place. So I don't have the 9 a.m. or I'm there every day at noon, or, some people have class schedules, they have whatever it is. But I kind of just know that if I have a big enough chunk in my day, then it's like a gym time, And so that's kind of how I operate. But I do have my days where I'm too tired and it's not going to happen.
And it's okay.
And it is okay.
And it's okay.
And I have to have grace for that, know? So, curious what you guys think. Do you feel like it was something that you were born with, or is it something you developed? And if it was something you developed, how did you do it?
I feel like it's definitely something you're not born with.
Okay.
Right? Because I feel like naturally you always want to take the easy way, right?
We're sloths.
Yeah.
And we're naturally.
Yeah, we just don't want to do the things that are hard, right? Unless you're mature enough to understand, right, the hard thing you're doing now is for a greater payoff, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's something you learn over time, right?
Yeah.
I think my parents did a decent job of instilling it in me, but at the same time, that's goes back to that point where I said you're doing it because you're going to let someone else down if you don't do it, right?
Yeah.
So I really feel like I only got a grasp of real discipline when I started going to the gym. That was the first time in my life I could have self-discipline, right? Because again, if I didn't go, it didn't affect anyone, right? So it was for me, and the reason why I was going was to get into shape and stuff like that. So I could only let down myself, and by constantly going, it gave me a chance to prove discipline to myself. So I think it's something you have to learn how to do, and you have to hold yourself accountable, and
you have to want it is really what you're
You have to,
describing.
yeah,
You have to want it. Because also, when I met you, you hadn't started your gym journey, right?
I think
Or
maybe
was
I
that
had just
the very
started. I
beginning?
started going to the gym in 2019, and I think we met around that time.
Shortly, thereafter. So it might have kind of coincided with the start, but my point is that you started really after high school, for the most part.
About senior year, yeah.
And for some of us, I can say that it really started with me when I started playing soccer, because it was kind of just expected. You have to be pretty fit to be playing the sport, and then you have to keep it up in your off season and all the things, right? So again, it was an external reason for me to do it. Initially, right? But then it's part of your life,
Once it becomes routine,
once it's your life, it's your life, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Derek? Do you feel like you were born with it, or you developed it?
No, I don't think I'll go as far as I don't think anybody's born with discipline. Right. And I say that I feel so strongly about that because there's been seasons of my life where where I had not been disciplined.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what got me particularly to this place of quote unquote discipline, or this place of structure, or this place of habit is you get to a certain point where you just have to be honest with yourself. That the goals you have, you're just not, you don't want it that bad.
Yeah, right.
If you wanted it that bad, you change things.
Yeah.
Right. I'm Christian. As you know, one of the things that I had to come to terms with myself this year is I'm not as disciplined, and I haven't been as disciplined in my spiritual life as had been in my fitness and in my health journey. I hadn't been as disciplined in my spiritual life or in my walk with Jesus as I had with my with my job or with my startups, right? Because I can say confidently that the whole of all of 2024, I was in the gym at least 95% of, irrespective of where I was. If I was in India, Ghana, I made it a point to find a gym and show up there. When it comes to my job, I made sure to be there at least 95%. I rarely ever, because I enjoy what I do, I show up. But then when it came to my spiritual life, it's like, oh no, how many times do I wake up and don't actually read the word or pray? So I think that, those are, it's like, hey, if I want it that bad, it means that habits have to change, certain things have to change. And I think that's really what's pushed me is, hey, if you really have these goals for yourself, you have to put the right routine, the right structure in place. And sometimes also you have to be honest with yourself to the point that I don't trust myself with certain things, right? Like I wouldn't trust myself to eat a certain kind of, to go, like I used to smoke hookah a lot. I haven't smoked hookah, and this is when I say a lot, about 3-4 times a week, right? And it actually had a hold on me where when I wanted to stop, I tried. I went 3 month spurts without smoking. I've gone 6 months without smoking, but I used to be in the same environment, right? And I had to get to the point to how I ended up stopping. I had to get to the point where I was honest with myself that, hey, yes, I can change the action, but what I really need to do is change the environment. I need to stop being in these spaces because it leads me back to it,
Right.
and I don't trust myself enough to not be in this space and not smoke hookah.
That's an interesting point too. A couple of things I was going to ask where the two of you find that you're less disciplined, so you brought this up, this arena. But I think it's also a really interesting and good point to make, that the things that we're attached to, like your attachment to hookah or smoking in that environment or, hanging out with friends, that kind of thing, that is actually, if we can let go of that, that really is allowing ourselves more freedom. Because I always say the things that we are the most attached to keep us in a prison of sorts, right?
That's good.
And
That's
I
good.
actually say that with discipline too. If I think I have to be at the gym 7 days a week, guess what? I am in a mental prison, There is such a thing as too disciplined, because if I'm so attached to getting to the gym every single day, I'm missing out on something else one of those days, 2 of those days.
It becomes an idol.
Exactly.
Like you worship becomes an idol.
Correct.
And that's not freedom.
Right. And so I like that you have kind of seen where your discipline has been a strength and where it's easy for you, and you've set systems up to support you, right? And then you can look at other arenas and say, I'm not so strong there, because this is human nature. Like, we're not going to be 100% across the board. And I also don't want people to think that that's what we should be,
No.
But yeah, so then I'm curious too, AJ, for you, what's an area of kind of like less discipline?
That's a good question. And maybe I should know the answer to that. But I don't know, because I don't have a problem with food, like cheap food, right? Mainly because I need calories to stay this weight, right? Like, I have a good metabolism right now.
You're one of those.
Yeah, so I had to work really hard to put on this weight, right?
Right.
So I have to keep
Which
eating, or I'm
is
going
an
to lose that
anomaly,
weight.
yes, in American culture.
But there's, I don't know, maybe it'll come to me, but I think maybe because I don't know is probably down to that point where you said you can be too disciplined, right? And I definitely find myself, being so disciplined to the point where I force myself to do these things, and it's a little draining, right? To be so focused on certain things.
Well, Well, so then I would ask, like, do you feel like you are a little too rigid with some of these things? Because that goes hand in hand, right? Where, you know, if something came up and you had to miss your 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, you know, like, is that kind of tough? Or say it was every single Wednesday, Thursday, like say it was a big impact. Would it, you know, really kind of throw you off? Like, would that be tough for you?
No, so it kind of, I feel like you have only so much energy you can like put towards these things you want to be disciplined towards, right?
Yeah.
And for me right now, this tech startup is priority number one, right? So sometimes I do have meetings with other companies or something where it does go into that gym time, and moving that is completely fine. It doesn't bother me at all because it is number one priority.
Yeah.
But with that,
what if something threatened the number one priority then?
That's
that's a no-go.
Yeah, that would like throw me off. Yeah, that makes me feel like anxious. Like I need to be like doing this. Maybe that's another problem besides discipline. But like I do allocate a lot of time towards that task.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it's a little too much, right? Like I'm very disciplined when it goes out to like spending my weekends. Like I always want to accomplish that number one task of working. So sometimes I like my friends want to go out and drink, and it's like, no, it's a Sunday. I'm completely not going to do that because I got to be ready for Monday, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very disciplined when it comes to drinking and like going out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Peer pressure.
Well, it's tough too because I mean, we know people that really like think of someone really great. I mean, you know, like a Kobe, someone like he was in the gym more than anyone, right? And you are saying like, I'm choosing to do this over anything else. Like it does take a dedication to accomplish these things too, right?
Yeah, it's like I focus a lot on it, right? And then like where I feel like I'm too disciplined is when like, you know, maybe I should like let my mental relax, get my mind out of like all this work and just relax with friends, because that time is also valuable, right?
Rest is,
And but like my desire to like get this done
Accomplish.
and this is like time I could be working is like really powerful. So you were gonna say something.
There's there's another quote that I absolutely love, and it says, "Whatever you cannot fast from, you're a slave to." Right? You can be a slave to your own routine.
Absolutely.
You can be a slave. You can be a slave to your discipline. You can be a slave to habits.
Yeah.
And simply if you're not able to step away from it, then you're no longer in control.
It has power over you.
It has power over you.
Yeah. Love that.
And then it brings out, and I want to say this when you talked about accountability, I think a huge component of discipline is also self-integrity, right? And integrity is when nobody else is looking, right? Can you keep your word to yourself?
Do you do the quote unquote right thing? The
things you've set to yourself.
Yeah.
Are you actually working towards and doing the things that you've set to yourself? And a lot of times people are not successful, or people don't show up confident. People are not confident because they haven't kept their word to themselves. They don't keep their word. They can't show. If I can't show up, if I can't keep my word to myself, right? I can't show up and be confident and tell AJ something because I know that I don't even do the things that I say I'm going to do, right? And then AJ's perspective of me is it's shifted, it's screwed, because he knows that when Derek says he's going to do something, he never actually does it. So a lot of discipline, or when people see people as disciplined, what they're really seeing is people who keep their word to themselves.
That's so true.
And reliability. You know, I also, as a coach and in the workshops that I'm doing, I'm going into businesses, organizations, and facilitating workshops on communication, conflict resolution. And also what ties into all of these things are the people's individual values, and then, you know, how they align maybe with the company values and that kind of thing, right? And one of the values I talk about that I've learned about myself is reliability and consistency, because Nebraska, I'm from Nebraska, and these people are the most reliable, consistent humans ever, because they just literally show up when they say they'll show up. They do the things when they say they'll do the things.
Good. Yeah.
Discipline, and that goes back to your question. You're not born with it, right? It's more proof, right?
That actually
it's
is
a
more
cultural
proof, right?
thing. It's how you're raised. It's,
true. And
the people around you.
Coming out to the West Coast, when I lived in Seattle and living in Las Vegas, I have been really astonished at the flakiness. And flakiness is probably my biggest pet peeve now because I get canceled on all the time. People are wishy-washy, doing
I imagine that's
nonsense.
frustrating for a podcast, right?
And for that.
Trying
yes,
to get people together.
Yes,
Yeah.
and for that. But it really has been such an eye-opener on what my values are. And I say to people that we really learn a lot about ourselves when we look at what bothers us, and conflict is often conflicting values. So someone canceling on me, someone pushing it back, someone rescheduling all the time, right? I'm getting irritated. It's causing conflict within me because I love reliability. And along the same lines of keeping your word is like showing up when you say you're going to show up. And I take it so seriously. And sometimes it's frustrating to see and interact and have other people not take it seriously, Yeah. And so I feel like with you two, are there times or situations where you're disciplined, you're going to do X, Y, and Z, and someone close to you, is like the opposite or isn't going to come through or isn't going to do that thing that they say? Does it bother you or like ruffle your feathers at all? Or have you just accepted people for who they are?
I definitely have some friends that when we say we're going to show up somewhere, they're 10, 15 minutes late, right? And it's annoying, but at the same time, I just show up 10, 15 minutes late after I get used to that's their thing. So I don't let it bother me too much because I just adapt to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. What about for you, Jared?
I'm the late friend.
Are you?
I'm like always. It's just. But that's an area that that's actually punctuality is actually one of the areas that I'm working on.
An area.
Believe it or not.
He was the earliest here today
because I'm working on
like,
it. Right?
I won't be this time.
But no, all my friends will tell you that they can all if they were to play a game to see who's going to show up last, it's very likely going to be there. And for me.
And that's holding yourself accountable, right?
It's holding myself accountable. And I think for me, a lot of the reason in that is also one of the things that personally I put above everything is people, right? I won't cut a conversation short, or I won't stop just because I have to go meet I have to go be somewhere at a certain time. And it's so a lot of times kind of my heart is always if I'm being interrupted in this moment by this person because there's an impartation that has to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So I try and just almost always account for that. Right. I
like that you're trying to give a noble reason for his lateness, right? It's because I value other people.
I'm not a noble reason, right? But I'm also saying that I'll always stop.
Yeah.
Like I'll always stop.
Yeah. If I'm late, it was because I was in a good conversation.
Right. I was putting someone else first.
And I wouldn't
prioritizing
and I would never
others.
share it. I would just apologize for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I'm just giving you a hard time because I'm also late to everything. Anyone that knows me that's watching this it's so difficult for me to get there without that 10, 15 minute grace period. That's just like a really sweet spot for me, but something I for sure need to work on. And it's funny because I'll kind of trick myself into being early on time. It's not even early. It's not early for my workshops because they matter so much. Like it is my whole business and whether I make money and can pay my rent. Not to say that the other people and things are not important to me because they are, but I really have to play a mind game with myself to get me there on time. That's how bad it is.
And sometimes that's what you need.
It's a mind game.
But to go back to your question of if people close to me, if they're indisciplined, if that irritates me, it actually doesn't, right? Because I also believe we're all different. We're all at different paces, different areas in our journey. But I think what naturally also normally happens is people actually kind of tend to, when you're a structured person, when people and the closer people get to you, the more they kind of know who you are, how you operate, and there's some flexibility that they make in their routine, and then you make in their routine to kind of adapt to them as well. So it's not something that I get irritated.
Yeah, too concerned about.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I wanted to talk about with this is in my original conversation with Derek about this, you actually brought up the idea that we could be disciplined toward negative things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm curious.
It's called addiction.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, however, well, and so that's my question, but do you think that addiction is its own thing entirely, right? Because so theoretically, addiction is hereditary and it's in our genes and it's all these things, right? And you may debate that or not, but if you do believe that it's hereditary, genetic in our genes, then it would be something kind of entirely different than discipline, because we're saying you're not born with discipline necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So then on the contrast, can we be quote unquote disciplined toward negative things? And I mean, I get where that is called addiction, or where you might refer to that as addiction, but what do you think about that concept just in general?
I don't know about being disciplined towards negative things. I can see like that, like you said, that would be addiction, right? I think the natural instinct is addiction, right? To just be addicted to things that make you feel good.
Mm-hmm. Instant gratification.
Addictiveness is a born trait, but I think it's a lack of discipline, right? That allows you to be addicted to certain things.
That's good.
Well, yeah, because my question was going to be is if we've defined discipline as accountability, integrity, right? How can we say that we are disciplined toward negative things? Because how do you have accountability and integrity toward eating junk food 24/7 or just eating, I
would almost interpret it as addiction is it's almost the lack of discipline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
right.
Because
I was waiting for something revolutionary, and then Derek just repeated what AJ just said. But yes,
that's what you just said.
And you're like, yes.
You said that's good.
That's good. Oh,
you said that's good, and then you just repeated it. Which was excellent.
Addiction is.
Yeah, it's literally the lack of accountability or discipline. Because discipline, you have to punish yourself for not doing what you said you were going to do, right? And with an addiction, you're not doing that. You're just getting the gratification. Yeah, you could feel a little guilty, but you're not like
it's
really
delayed.
doing anything to change.
And really, if we're going to talk about gratification, it is delayed gratification, right? Having discipline. And then addiction would be instant gratification. So
yeah, I didn't think of it like that, but they're complete opposite sides of the spectrum.
As far as gratification goes.
Yeah.
Addiction feels like uncontrolled discipline than the lack of it.
Uncontrolled.
Like uncontrolled. Like you don't have any
control of it. But then
discipline would be having control over the things that
we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty here.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna need to elaborate on that one.
Or is discipline controlled habits and addiction uncontrolled habits?
Uncontrolled.
But it's all control.
Well, if it's an uncontrolled habit, though, that's on autopilot, is there control in that? If it,
that's just like good habits versus bad habits.
Yeah, like you're not stepping in to actually take ownership and control it. So it's kind of the habit is leading you versus you leading it. Where in discipline, you're actually leading the habit.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with
lots of interesting
the little hint of like holding yourself accountable, right? You're missing that accountability aspect.
Missing it
with the addiction, right? That's why it's a different spectrum. The words are two different things, because with discipline, yes, you have that, you're developing the good habit.
Yeah.
With addiction, you're developing the bad habit. But with discipline, you have that extra force from yourself to punish yourself when you don't go with the good habit.
It's also very interesting that you keep using the word punish.
Well, like discipline yourself.
I am punishing myself.
I don't know what I hope you're not punishing yourself.
Right.
Well, like not physically, right? But like you have to like
clearly
feel some sort of guilt that actually changes you, right?
These are big, strong words, AJ. Punishment and guilt. I don't know if they are required for discipline. that would be another question is, do you feel like,
Well, disciplining yourself sucks, right? If you're not in the groove, you haven't developed the good habits yet, discipline is a painful process to get
it is a
the good
painful
habit out
process.
of.
However, when you're in it, like I do feel so much better when I'm eating fairly well. I do feel so much better when I'm moving my body on a regular basis, you know? And so it's like maybe that change or transition or like the start of making that a habit does suck and feels
the
like
process of
punishment, right?
disciplining yourself
Yeah.
is the part that sucks. But once you're already disciplined,
once you're kinda
it doesn't
in
have
it.
to be painful anymore,
Right.
right? So physically or mentally, right? If it's the gym, it's physically when you're doing those squats, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's
Derek's wheels are turning. What are you going to say, Derek?
I think that's the aspect that's missing with addiction, right? That's kind of my point.
Yeah, and you're saying something, and it's kind of striking me as I feel like the discipline is almost always painful. I feel like it's a daily pain because I don't think, as human beings, I don't think we want to be disciplined. I don't think we want
Back to one of the very first things.
Yeah, like we don't want to live that life.
And because I am very intentional about vocabulary and the words we use, I don't know if I would want to designate it as pain because that's just so strong, but maybe discomfort or struggle. But again, you can say pain if that's what it is to you, for sure. But I'm like, maybe it's more about being uncomfortable or being a struggle or being a challenge, but pain. And again, I worked in inpatient psychiatry and heard a lot of secondhand horrendous pain. And so I do, just in general, again, I'm careful about the words I use. But then I would open that up to you. Do you really think it is legit pain or it is discomfort, or unease?
I think it depends on what you're trying to discipline yourself in, right? Some things can be a little easier and it's uncomfortable, right? Like there's a certain situation you're trying to get yourself, like maybe the first time you're showing up to the gym, actually working out isn't hard, but it's uncomfortable because you feel like everyone's looking at you like, who's the new guy in the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once you get past that phase, you don't have that discomfort or pain anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it completely depends on the situation because sometimes I think it could be painful, like mentally, right? If you want to discipline yourself to be really good at a certain craft, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be mentally draining to focus on that all the time and not go out, have fun with friends or whatever and get
take the
some
easy
dopamine.
route. Yeah, for sure.
And relax yourself. So it can, like you said, it's perspective on what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's literally, I agree. I think it's all perspective, and I do think it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
I think discipline is painful. I think doing the things that you say that you're going to do when you don't want to do
Yeah.
it. It's it's not physical pain. It's really a mental pain like that. Hey, I want to do this thing. I say I'm going to do it, but I'm not. It's hard for me to do it. It's so, and I think people need to understand that. I mean, if you want different outcomes, changing your habits is not an easy journey. It can be discomfort. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're really selling people on this, aren't we? We're this is a
I
lot
wanted
of
to
pain.
say one thing actually, because it's the process of disciplining yourself that is hard, right?
Right.
But we wouldn't do it if it wasn't worth it, right?
Yeah.
So it's once you're disciplined, it's worth it, right? Because like I went to the gym, I worked really hard. Now I get to be in shape.
Reap the benefits of this.
But I mean, stick on that. Like, let's stay there for a second, though. But do you think, because quote unquote, a lot of people would say I'm probably one of the most disciplined people, but I don't feel disciplined. I don't feel. I feel like it's I have a constant fear of falling out of discipline. I have a constant, because it's a daily thing.
Yeah.
It's a day, like you can almost just I not show up tomorrow, right? And tomorrow turns into the next day, and the next thing you know, you're not in it. So to me, it's a daily grind. I don't think maybe we're talking about discipline as this end state, and to me, it's a daily battle.
You're in it every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Like if you really want the goals that you say you want for yourself, you have to show up for it every day.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what discipline is.
So I'm curious now that we've hashed and rehashed what the heck discipline
Just don't
even
discipline
is.
yourself.
Yes,
Forget it. It
That's
sucks.
right.
yeah.
How does it, because both of you would say, I would say, and you guys would say that you're on the more disciplined end of the spectrum, if we're on a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
But how does it impact your relationships? Do you see it having an impact on your relationships? You've mentioned how you are, basically missing out on sometimes with friends, right? But I'd ask just either with friendships, romantic relationships, and or your family.
Yeah.
Does your commitment to the things that you have decided to focus on and your commitment to your priorities, really, what you're saying, does that impact your relationships?
For sure. Yeah. I think it's interesting now we've gone to commitment. Because I would consider these things that I've disciplined myself to be now commitments. And
You're in a
like
committed relationship with the
with
tech
work,
startup.
yeah. It feels like that. And it does have an effect on that stuff because I want to achieve this thing so badly.
Yeah.
I've put aside, like I think I do a decent job of hanging out with friends and family. I could be a little better. Like sometimes I feel guilty. Like I don't hang out with my dog. He's getting older. I don't play with him because I'm just like, he's like got his toy and I'm just like working.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just focused like away. Right. But I'm like, I feel a little guilty about that stuff. And then with romantic relationships too, it's like, I haven't been in a serious relationship for a while because I am so committed to this. Right. And those relationships do take a lot of effort. And it's just, I'm not at the point where I'm willing to sacrifice any effort towards that outcome that I'm desiring for any sort of romantic relationship right now.
So in the last few years, have you had a potential romantic relationship start that you weren't able to keep up because of these priorities, or are you not even really allowing them to start?
I do get involved with people
into situationships.
I am a young man, right? So I do need to hang out with women every now and then, just for my own mental sake, right? But yes, I do. And then sometimes those people are pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But I've always I don't let it get to a point where it can be too serious because I just know, like, right? It's discipline, right? I know it's going to take away from that effort.
It's
that
pain
and
anguish.
It is pain because I want to like hang out with that person. I want to be with them.
Right.
That's addicting, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
where it's the easy way. It's nice. It's comfortable, right?
Feels good.
Yeah, it does. And I want this outcome so bad. I don't take anyone serious. And I've had some relationships where the girl does want to be serious, and I do like them, but it's just like I can't. And I don't really want to take time away from what I'm focusing on to, give you what you need. And
so then is this conversations that you've actually had with him, or do you just kind of let it fizzle out or just fall off? Are you a ghoster, AJ?
No, I'm not a ghoster. But it comes a time where you're talking to someone and they're like, is this going to be serious or not? And it's just like every time it's just, this is my main priority, and I know, I'm not going to be able to like hang out with you as much as I want to, and give you the attention.
The same way.
And everyone's always just like, find a girl that's like there for you from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice, but it doesn't
good.
work like that,
Right.
right? So it gets to that point. We have that conversation, and it's just like, okay, we'll go our separate ways.
Yeah.
It's nothing too harmful on either side, but
Do you feel like it is difficult for men that are wanting to really build, like, because you guys are both in your 20s and you're both very driven on accomplishing certain things and wanting to really prioritize these career endeavors, work endeavors? Do you feel like it's difficult for men to be in a relationship at the same time as when they are in this very focused state and like driven state? Do you feel like it's something where for a lot of, if another man is in his 20s or early 30s or whatever, and they are really driving toward that desired outcome, that it's hard to kind of have someone along with that because they do want time, they want to they want to hear from you every day. They want to see you a lot too, and that kind of thing. Do you feel like that's typical for driven men?
I don't think it has anything to do with men specifically. I think it has to do with the person wanting to accomplish this really hard goal that takes all this time and energy, right? And a man or woman, whoever is trying to do it, it is hard to maintain those relationships because it's not like a friendship where you can go and not talk to that person for 1 or 2 weeks,
right?
And then
hit
them
up.
Hey, let's go hang out, and everything's fine. With that person, it's like, wow, like you didn't like take me seriously.
Are you alive?
Yeah, are you cheating on me? Like this, that. It's like you just can't do it. So I think it's really for anyone. I don't know about you.
What about you?
I think it is.
Yeah.
And the reason I think it is because, I read a very popular book, Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. And I think, I hope it's that. But one of the laws is a lot of men don't achieve kind of a certain level of success until their mid-30s is because they don't learn how to control their sexual urges. Right, at an early age. We don't figure that out until on the other side of 35. So I think it's if you're driven and that's not an area that you're disciplined in, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
Right, and it pulls you away from the it pulls you away from your goals.
Sure.
And to avoid that, you just have to tame it. So.
Yeah. No, I think that's really relevant to this conversation. Back to the relationship question, do you feel like your discipline or your drive, or again, we just kind of explained it as a commitment, but do you feel like that has impacted your relationships?
Absolutely. Like without a doubt, like an example that I'll give you is it's like I was having, I'm not from Vegas. I was raised in Columbus, Ohio. My family's originally from West Africa, Ghana. I'm the oldest of 5 of my mother's kids, and I have a 23-year-old sister, a 21-year-old sister, a 20-year-old sister, and then a 17-year-old brother.
Oh wow.
And I take care of my 17-year-old brother. He lives with me, so my only family in Vegas is my brother. And my brother and I got into we've been here together for 3 years. He's a junior. We got into it for the first time about 2 weeks ago. And in us getting into it, because he wanted a job, and I'm like, dude, you can't have a job focused on getting 30 plus on your ACTs. And because I know you're smart, I know you can do it, right? And kind of his feedback was he feels this immense pressure on him, right? And I think a lot of the pressure that he feels is because I'm asking him to, wake up and go to the gym with me at 5 a.m., right? I'm asking him to I asked him to take a practice ACT test. This is a 4-hour test. 8 weeks ago, I asked him to take a test every week, every weekend, right? And he's just like, dude, I'm not smart enough. I can't do it. So I think sometimes, and I had to reflect on that. Sometimes, when I was 17, I wasn't doing that at 17, right? But in hindsight, I wish I did. And I think I'm kind of, in part trying to push him that way. It's like, dude, he'll figure it out in his own time. So I think in those kind of areas, I've seen it where, I think because of my routine and my systems and kind of the rewards that I see out of it, it can almost make you insensitive to other people and kind of where they're at and in their season. Hey, they're just not there yet, but they will get there.
I love that. That's such a great example because while you were describing it, I was literally thinking it sounds like a man who has found what works for him in his 20s and later 20s is now deciding that the 17-year-old, because it worked for me, it should work for you. And we all see things more clearly after the fact that we quote unquote should have done, a decade ago or 5 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever. And so it's like, I've learned this and now I must apply this to him and make him better and, have all the things and everything. But that is really not how it works.
It's not.
Because he has his own journey and readiness for those lessons too. Yeah. And so I love that he has been able to say that to you, and kind of push back a little bit in a way that has made you reflect too, because it's learning for both of you.
It is.
It
is.
Yeah.
And then I think on the flip end of that, I think for me in romantic relationships, I've had the experience where I think in women that I've dated or been trying to get to know, where there's an immense pressure that they feel that they have because I'm this certain way. They have to be that way. They have to adapt. And I think the reality is, dude, I just want to know you as you, right? I don't need you to do X, Y, and Z or go to the gym at this exercise. I just really want to know you. And if it works and our life merges and it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's
actually a really good point. I like that you brought that up too, because then I'd ask you, AJ, the people that you have dated or, kind of maybe seen some potential with or whatnot, did they ever vocalize like a pressure to be a certain way or to be disciplined in a certain way? Because to be fair, it's difficult to be pretty bummy and then, like not be doing anything and then hear about, this man that's doing X, Y, and Z, and the vice versa, for women that are handling stuff and doing amazing things and, got X, Y, and Z going on. Sometimes it's actually funny. Sometimes even for myself, like having the podcast, doing my coaching, sometimes men will make comments about the things that the things that I do, and I don't look through that lens. Like I don't see it that way. Compatibility is not a measure of accomplishments, to me, but I have had people kind of make comments about their unease with it, which would then lead to me to think that they have an insecurity about it for sure, right? Because if it's coming up and they're feeling uncomfortable about it, then it's ultimately an insecurity. But have you experienced that at all?
So the question is, have I had any relationship with a woman that feels like she has to kind of like step up,
perform,
perform to my standard? No, I haven't necessarily had a situation like that. Maybe it's different for you because you've already achieved some decent success. At least it sounds like it, right? Yeah. And with me, I'm still working towards that, right?
I don't want you to say that you haven't achieved success,
I've
AJ,
achieved
right?
it. Well, it's perspective, right?
Yeah.
What I consider success is not, I'm not there
You're
yet.
you're not quite there, but.
And I don't think yet there is any pressure on a female to feel like she has to kind of
be a certain way.
Yeah. No, I haven't experienced that yet. Maybe that's something in the future, but that's not something I would find attractive in a woman anyways. I don't want someone that matches my energy on that level. I need the
exactly.
You need the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Someone that is peaceful.
Yeah, someone that
or
Yeah, we don't need two bosses in the house, right? It's like
it's like you wear the pants.
Yeah.
You know what?
Someone does, right? It's got yin and yang,
yin
right?
And yang,
yeah.
Exactly. I actually say that my perspective of and I hate to use the word should because should is another word that I try to avoid. But what a woman should be for a man is a soft place to lay his head. And I mean that physically and figuratively.
Yeah.
Like it is this welcome, open, soft place for a focused, driven man that's getting stuff done to be able to come home to, right? Yeah. And so again, that kind of speaks to the yin and yang of this idea.
Yeah. Kirsten, I will add, I think it's also, that you're not looking for a bummy partner per se, but I think there's some core life principles that if you are disciplined that you are looking for.
And that would align.
There's some core values that you're looking for compatibility around. Yes, I don't need you to go to the gym at 5 a.m. every day, but there Pilates, right? Yoga, like right? Because
walk around the block.
Because for me personally, faith is a big in looking for a partner. Faith is big for me. Fitness is big for me, right? Like lifelong learning is big for me because these are not. I don't see these as values that I just live by. These are values that I want to impart in my kids.
Oh, absolutely.
And if I'm going to do that, I need a partner that we're also aligned with those values. And if we're not, if we're just not compatible, and that's okay. Right. So I think that's important to.
Yeah. And exactly to your point, that is really where the compatibility lies, because again, for me, reliability and consistency is so huge that I'm just never going to be with a person that's inconsistent. It would make me lose my mind, So it's like some of these kind of subsets of qualities or traits that are related to discipline are really what
That's-
I'm looking
yeah,
for.
yeah.
And like integrity,
Yeah.
accountability. These things matter a lot to me.
A lot.
But whether someone shows up and does XYZ at XYZ time is a lot less important to me.
I'm
you
not
know?
looking for you to also be starting a startup, but I am expecting you when you say you're going to do something to do it.
Right, right.
And holding yourself accountable, that kind of
Right.
stuff.
And if you can't keep your word to yourself, how are you gonna keep your word to me?
No,
like,
right.
It's to me, and I think for me, that's how I see people in general is how well are you at keeping your word to yourself?
Absolutely.
Right. When you tell me goals you have, and we check in 3 months or 6 months, hey, how's that startup, AJ? Right. It's like,
Spinning its
hey,
wheels.
right. It's because this is a word for yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
then you kind of make we're always making mental notes that AJ keeps his words. I can trust him with
Mm-hmm.
something. And as opportunities come, it's like, hey, AJ, I just met this, this investor, this angel investor. He's looking to, are you raising money? And it's like, okay, here's a connection.
Absolutely. And that's actually one thing, because I've known AJ longer. That's actually one thing. And I would say the reason that 5 years later, I still talk with you and we check in because he is a person of his word. And if I've asked him to come and do something and he says he will, he shows up. Like, we have been in alignment in that way, which is more than can be said about some other people that I've crossed paths with in the last 5 years, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say, holding your word to yourself, not lying to yourself, is a huge tell in someone's personality.
So good, yeah.
And the craziest part about discipline is the easiest person to lie to is yourself, but it has the biggest impact on everyone around you. You can see through people when they don't. They say they're going to do something and they just lie to themselves about it. It's like it reeks from your personality. You can tell.
It's seeping out of their pores, isn't it?
Dude, it's crazy because I'm a firm believer that self-esteem, like confidence, it all comes down to like keeping your integrity, keeping your word to yourself. Because
it's self-worth.
It's like because it's just when you keep your word to yourself, I call it small conquest. You win you win very small things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those little wins build confidence for you to go after big things.
Absolutely.
And if you're constantly losing the small things, then you start to question your self-esteem. You start to question who you are. You start to question your identity, and then you start to fall into depression.
Absolutely.
And then you get diagnosed.
Yeah.
So I think it all comes back to how well are you keeping, and then you also need a support system around you to kind of help you through that.
Yeah, you know what's an
Absolutely.
interesting story about self-accountability is golf is an interesting sport, right? So I have this one friend when we started playing, we were both bad, right? And he would hit the golf ball, like mess up one shot here, like give himself a putt that's like a real short putt that he should have made, but it lipped out, but he'd give it to himself anyways, right? And at the end of the game, he would have a score that was a lot lower than what he actually shot, right? So because he lied to himself, every time we'd go out and play, he'd be super frustrated with himself that he's not shooting that score or better, right? When if you had been accountable from the first place, you would see, I actually did get better, right? Because I counted that lip out putt and I'm actually a little better.
That's so good.
That is a great example.
Dude, to that point, man, and I'm also a firm believer in just simple that, dude, we're not honest with ourselves. And discipline starts with self-honesty. If you're not honest with yourself about the things you're struggling with, the things you need to improve,
They'll never improve.
Like you can't heal what you don't reveal.
Of course.
It's like and it's like, dude, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're forging things, then the truth's never going to come out, and you're never going to improve it.
Exactly.
That's so good.
Yeah. That's a really good example. And I love that, because also with my coaching it's just such a process of self-awareness. And the more we understand and see about ourselves, a lot of people are walking around thinking they know themselves, and they couldn't be further from the truth, And I will say too, I think that for us three being disciplined and going after these things, like, I have learned a tremendous amount about myself, because, we have been more in this entrepreneurial life and you haven't. However, you have done these, you have your startup too and whatnot. But I mean, just the fact that you have the casino
position.
But I think too, I've had multiple people tell me that entrepreneurship is the biggest lesson in personal development or personal growth. And I have said only if we allow it. Like people will say that to me and I'm like, only if we choose that. Because I know plenty of entrepreneurs that are blind to themselves and still living in their blind spots and still living in some version of a delusion, you know. But if you welcome it and if you really take the time, it is handing us a lesson after lesson after lesson, you know?
Yeah. Entrepreneurship is definitely a route where you need discipline, right?
Yeah. And it's kicking our butts every day.
Yeah.
It's kicking our butts every day. Just on kind of a segue of what we were just saying, do you feel like discipline is different for men or women, like men and women? Do you think there's really a discipline for the two, or can it kind of just be the same across the board?
I don't think it's disciplining yourself is necessarily harder for a man or a woman. I do think there's aspects, you know, social aspects where a discipline for a woman is different than a man. But I don't think it's necessarily harder for one or the other.
Can you give an example of what you were thinking?
So what I was thinking is, you know, maybe you have for a woman, right? A single woman, if you're very attractive, or not even, you don't even really have to be that attractive to get a lot of attention from guys as a woman, right? But you have all these options throwing themselves at you, right? And it can take some discipline to, you know, pick one man that you want to be interested in. And if you guys get into an argument, not just jump to your next available option. And where it might be some discipline for a man is, you know, let's say you have a woman that you're loyal to and you do become successful. Now you have all the options, right? And the discipline is then again, like, are you going to be faithful or whatever? So that's kind of what I was talking about, where it would be different. Yeah.
I say all the time that I am choosing struggle when I could probably just take the easy route of someone just choosing to provide for me for the rest of time. And I'm like, you know, sometimes I don't know why I choose the struggle, but I do. What were you going to say, Derek?
Yeah. So, you know, to that point, it's like discipline is painful.
It is.
Like it's...
Paying my rent.
Do you want to use that word now?
Yeah, right.
It's painful.
Once I think about paying my rent by myself every month, you know what? It is a little painful. Right? Back to your point.
But I think discipline it's different from person. It's less about gender. It's just different from person to person. You know, like to go back to faith, like one of the things that, you know, I'll point you to is there's a habit that can be a sin for AJ that won't be a sin for me, Derek. Right? That could be a sin for you. That won't be a sin for me. Because it's something that I put before God. It's something that I put above everything. Right? And these are just, they're inner battles that people are fighting that you kind of have to be honest with yourself about, and then actually work towards winning. So I'll have a hard time saying that.
Yeah, it's more individual.
It's very, and when you start to win at those kind of inner battles, that's when like it starts to translate in other areas. Like when you start to win at the gym, it starts to translate towards the business. When you start, so I think it's different from person to person, and yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say. I mean, an example that I'll give you is for me, it started with the gym, and then it went into faith, then it went into kind of just my learning, my studying, my startup. It's gone into my relationships, and it's a trickle effect, but you have to start.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. Well, believe it or not, we have already talked this topic out for about an hour, but do you guys have any last thoughts that you wanted to share on discipline before we do you have any other summaries?
I guess mine would be, it's not all that bad. There is light at the end of the tunnel, right? Yeah. You are doing it for a good reason. And yeah, it's worth it. It's better than addiction. So yeah.
For me is to kind of just demystify discipline, and to reiterate what I said is that discipline is not a destination. Like it's a daily choice. It's a moment by moment choice. So I don't think people should kind of listen to this pod and kind of get the idea of, hey, you know, we have it figured out.
Right,
You're always
like,
going to be disciplined.
here are 3 pros that have made it to the destination of discipline.
No. And it's like,
That's actually what
I'm
I was
not an
going to title
expert. Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
what?
3 discipline experts have made it to their.
Dog.
No,
Right,
I
no.
texted you before,
I'm
right?
just kidding.
When you asked me like, how disciplined do you think you are? I'm like, well, you know, if the average person is a 5, I
Right.
think I'm like an 8 or a 9. I'm
Yeah.
not perfect, but I think I am pretty disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be 100%.
Yeah.
Right. There are days
And
that
it shouldn't be.
it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Right. And on those days, just give yourself grace and just get right back into it. I think sometimes you, as part of being disciplined, as part of being system, you kind of want to fall into this. It has to be this way 100% of the time. And my benchmark is really, dude, I just want to do everything like 85, 90% of the time.
Yeah.
If I can do that,
A solid
it
85% is
compounds.
great. Yeah.
and all we're really looking for is for things to compound and win.
I have a client who I've worked with for quite a while. He's wonderful, 21 years old, but he has some perfectionistic tendencies with his art. He's in art school, and he'll spend so much time making one project perfect for one class that he'll fall behind on the others. Because of the amount of time that he's dedicating to this, right? And I told him that we have to start a new system and process of trying to hit 80%. I need you to get to a point of 80% on whatever project it is. And it's kind of like, how do we measure this? Again, it's a process. It's a work in progress. But I said, what we need to do is hit 80 on one and then abandon it, go to the next one and hit 80 there. If you get the luxury of being able to go back, great. But we can't go for 110 on our very first one because then we never get to the others, you know? So I actually love that point too, where, you know, honestly, if I'm hitting an 80, 85 on most things each day, I'm feeling pretty good. And I think that is where a little bit of balance lies, you know?
It is. And I mean, we all want to pursue excellence in everything that we do, but it's like, dude, sometimes excellence is that 80, 85, 90%, right?
I agree.
And being able to go back to it.
Yeah, but you won't get there without discipline.
Like 80 to 590, that's discipline.
Yeah,
To be able to do
it is discipline. It is.
It means
It
you eat
absolutely is.
90% of the time you're eating good. You're
Yeah.
eating clean.
Exactly.
So you do get a cheat meal. I'll buy you the cheat meal.
Right.
Yeah.
A cheat meal on Derek tonight.
Holding me to it.
Yeah. So then the way I love to end my podcast, I'm a super foodie. I love food. And so I like to ask, what is one of your favorite Las Vegas restaurants here? So please share.
Okay. You know, in terms of like all around atmosphere, the last restaurant I went to with like a really good atmosphere and really good food was probably Nico's at Durango, the steakhouse.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I
I don't have like a favorite dish or anything.
Yeah.
But it's,
I've heard it's
pretty
good. I haven't been, but I'm glad you, enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Haven't been. Typically on Fridays, and typically when I have a bad day, when I'm in a bad mood, or have a bad moment, I like Thai food, and I go specifically to the best Thai spot here in Vegas.
Do not associate bad days and bad moods with Thai food, the
No,
best food
no,
in the world.
That's why I go there to
Right.
get me back.
I love
right.
Thai. Okay, what's your favorite?
It's Pink Cow Thai.
Is it?
On Rainbow?
Okay.
Pink
I've
Cow
had-
Thai on
yeah.
Rainbow.
I've probably been to 25 Thai places in
Pink Cow
Las
Thai
Vegas.
is by
at
far,
least.
by far. And tell Pam and Tintin Kun Derek sent you.
I will. I don't know. I'll have to see the location because I really have been to so many, and I'll stop when I'm just driving around randomly when I was
You
doing.
won't forget this spot.
I know.
You
Then
won't forget this
sometimes
spot.
I forget the names.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely check that out. And then one I was actually going to mention. So very sadly, I'm lactose intolerant, and very sadly, my mom has celiac disease, which has seemed to pop up in my life the last year. So I've been gluten-free, but I went to Snooze in Summerlin and had the most amazing gluten-free pancakes. They were so great that 3 days later, my mom and I went back and had them again because she was here for a week. And they gave us so much joy. So if you're looking for a gluten-free pancake in Las Vegas, Snooze has some amazing pancakes. So thank you, gentlemen, so much for this conversation. What I loved about this conversation is that it really was just showing the audience how authentic, like a first conversation on discipline, and how we kind of had to work through our own minds, how we think of this.
Yeah, really had to define it, right?
Yeah, and kind of tweak it.
I'm still stuck on the discipline and addiction.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
still stuck on that. Yeah.
There might be a part 2 of this someday, somehow. But thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, share with friends, and I will see you for the next one.